Go ahead.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh.
Hello. Ignacy and Stephen, Portal Games.
And this is Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather of Gaming. This is Board Games Insider, episode 165, and we are recording this on September 30th, 2020. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and Ignacy, I was thinking, maybe you and I should run the Dice Tower Network. Tom Vassell? We can do a coup d'etat here. Let's buy out Tom Vassell. What do you think it'll cost? $100?
I don't have a hat, and he always has a hat.
He is the Mad Hatter. I proved that last week. I had proof, right?
Yep.
How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah, I took a day off from the work today to do work at home because I was feeling so, and in these crazy COVID times, I said, okay, I'm not provoking any trouble staying at home. I took some medicine, and that was the worst day ever because this is the moment in the year when I had to proofread and edit the rule book for my game. I hated these moments, reading rule book.
I know how much you like to take days off too. It's like just not your thing. It's impossible for you to relax. I know that. And I respect that a lot. That's amazing.
You are the only good thing that happened to me today.
Oh, that is too nice. And we're just going to leave it at that. Tell me what else. What are the big things happening at Portal Games?
Yeah, I had this Monday, we had a weekly Skype call with Portal Games USA, Lou Gotfinowski and David Marchbanks, and I have a great news from them, and I'm super happy to pass it over to everybody else. Detective Season 1 almost sold out.
Wow.
And we released the game like 2 weeks ago, and suddenly there was a restocks. Every distributor restocked the game. There was Barnes & Noble's restock. And this is, as we always try to educate our listeners and to tell them how it works. The one thing is to sell the product to the retailers or distributors, but the crucial part is these restocks. If the product will be restocked, if somebody wants it more, if somebody wants to get more of this game, so we are very happy. And as Stephen remembers from his times when he was busy working at Stronghold Games, now there is a panic discussions about the possible reprint, and if we can make a reprint before Christmas, if we can have it in time.
I'm trying to find a pen so I can write it down so I can go out and buy the darn game before it's completely sold out everywhere. Keep talking. I'm finding a pen here. Everybody can see this if they're actually watching us.
So it is as we always say, it is a great news to have such a great opening and all these restocks, etc. And then of course there is this stressful moments between our sales and our production, and calling manufacturers and asking them how quickly they can do a reprint. So overall, amazing news with this sauce, this Slavic sauce of me being concerned about this possible success for the game. But overall, great feedback. Just yesterday, I was retweeting official Board Game Geek account. I appreciate that. I was retweeting official Board Game Geek account on Twitter. Steph Hodge was telling how much she loves the Detective Season 1. I'm very proud daddy. These days, it's amazing time for me. So fantastic. That was my news of the week and the brag of the week in a one package.
Very good.
As for the pre-orders, as every week for the past few weeks, Neuroshima Hex, the Year of the Moloch edition of on pre-order is a collector's edition with the a ton of additional stuff in the box. It's I think it's an $80 box, so it's very expensive, but a ton of additional components, additional pieces in the box. So we are closing these pre-orders in November. I will get the details later this month. And Robinson Crusoe Treasure Chest on pre-order, very strong as well. This is our Spiel digital release, so very soon we will close this pre-order as well. Upcoming street dates: Robinson Crusoe Treasure Chest and next expansion for Robinson Crusoe, our evergreen. I guess many of you already heard about this, so nothing more to add. I will talk more about this expansion when it is released around Essen time. And from the HQ, what's happening at the HQ? Complaining Ignacy because the creative part of working on a game is over. Now is the editing part, and this is boring and this is stressful, and you read these files. hundreds of times over and over again, looking for any mistake, and you know that you will miss some of the things because you saw this material so many times that you are not spotting these problems. But overall, of course, very, very excited to finally finish Vienna Connection. It is our next year release. You are going to be a spice, and all over me, as I watching on YouTube, I'm showing it right now, all over me, documents, printouts, rule books, cards, etc., etc. Finally, ready to say goodbye to Vienna Connection and look for the next project.
Very, very cool. Thanks for bringing us up to date. And over here at the Podfather of Gaming, the social media has been going great here. And if you guys want to see us, look at us, go over to my YouTube channel, the Podfather of Gaming, and subscribe over there. We're going to post this show on the same day the audio drops every week. So you'll get a first chance at actually looking at us and talking as we talk to each other and we talk to you, and we do things like put up little notes on the screen like that. I'm not going to tell you what it says. You have to go over and take a look at the video. And of course, follow on Facebook and all that. So the social media is going great. I'm going to bring you back to an invite of the week that I had talked about earlier in the COVID crisis, and that's my escape room in Florida. I've had several people come to me and said they've had an amazingly good time playing in my Florida escape room that I co-own with Zev Schlesinger of WizKids and Frank DiLorenzo of R&R Games. For about $20 per person, you can get a great escape room experience online, and I promise you're going to like this. If you've never done an escape room, it's certainly a great way to break the ice. You can do it from anywhere in the world. So check this out at escaperoomadventures.com. There's 4 rooms that we have online, including our new one, which is Area 52, an alien-themed room. Check that out. Of course, we're still doing the happy hour with the Podfather, and we're doing that every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern and every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Staying positive, checking in with each other. We've got a great group of people that come all the time, and some people just pop in every once in a while. So I highly recommend check that out. And of course, I am posting those videos too on my YouTube channel, so you can just watch it later. But why don't you come over and hang out and talk with us once a week or twice a week with whatever you can do. Loving doing the Dice Towers board game breakfast with Z Garcia and my good buddy Tom Vassell is a great time, and that's every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We do board game news. We do a game show between 2 of the 3 of us, and we have contributor segments that are put into the episode as well. Check that out on the Dice Towers YouTube channel, and I link back to them on my YouTube channel as well. As for news of the week, I'd mentioned last time that we played War of the Ring, my favorite game. That's Roy Canaday and I. We did this, and we're going to be doing a little video to recap our experience there. And hopefully Roy, who is the editor, the video editor on the Dice Tower, hopefully he'll like splice in pictures and things like that. But I don't, I'm not going to ask him to do the extra work. I just want to have this great conversation to immerse the listeners and the viewers of this in how amazing the game is. And that's especially if you're a fan of thematic games, and especially if you're a fan of conflict games, and especially if you're a fan of the Lord of the Rings genre, the Tolkien mythos. So we're going to be doing that soon. Hopefully we'll have that posted within a week of this recording. Pathfinder. I've been loving my Pathfinder game that I've been playing in, and that's been taking up a lot of my gaming time as well. Just, figuring out that character. I got a level 4 half-orc fighter, and he is a killing machine right now. Loving getting back into role-playing. Even though I was away last week, I still played it, from a very, very distant place that I was in last week with my friends back in New Jersey. That's sort of what's going on over here. Ignacy, I think it's time to go to the news and the event deck.
Yep.
So the first thing is something that we spoke about just a little while ago, that Cards Against Humanity was opening a board game cafe in Chicago. And guess what? 1 month and a day after it opened, Cards Against Humanity has sold their Chicago Board Game Cafe to Amphil Technologies Incorporated, the owners of Snakes and Lattes board game cafe chain. Just under a year after announcing the opening of the Chicago Board Game Cafe, Cards Against Humanity has already exited the restaurant business by selling their flagship location to Amphil Technologies, who owns Snakes and Lattes. Chicago Board Game Cafe will now become Snakes and Lattes' 7th location and reopen on October 14th. Quote, there was just enough time for the cafe to earn rave reviews for its food, design, and overall awesomeness, but not enough time for many Chicagoans to experience it, said Ben Castani, president of Snakes and Lattes. So, one more thing I'll say is, or they have in the article, is that the Cards Against Humanity, had an unusual rough go of its first venture into the restaurant business. The cafe was open a grand total of 1 month and 1 day before the state of Illinois closed down all restaurants in response to COVID. The forced closure was beyond Cards Against Humanity's control, and Snakes and Lattes' team may have to deal with similar circumstances in the future. So, interesting that they've decided to exit, but maybe they just didn't want to keep the expense going on. I have no other thought on why. I mean, certainly Cards Against Humanity has plenty of cash around that they could weather this, at least I would think. But they decided that, maybe they should just cut bait and sell it over to someone who knows how to run this kind of business very well.
Yeah, this is a terrible news. We were both super excited when we saw the pictures, and we were joking that this is our go-to place if we visit Chicago in the future.
Yeah.
And then there is a COVID, and everything changes. And for many restaurants, especially here in Poland, I don't know how it's in America or other countries, but in Poland, so many restaurants, when they were closed, shut down, they were doing delivery to home. Like you were just calling them, and they were bringing to home food. For cafeterias dedicated to board games, there is nothing to bring home. Like they wanted people to go there and play games there. So this shut down, like there was no other option, no other business plan for the business like that. The business wants people be in the location. So my friend here in Poland also runs such a venture, and then they have a restaurant with the board games. And yeah, this is basically, it was a terrible time. In Poland, most of the restaurants are open these days, but the whole business of restaurants, terrible damages. And as I say, they have no other option. Like they cannot bring these games to us to home. Like
it's too difficult to have something that's a rental service to bring it to you. It just defeats the whole business model. So sad to hear about this. Hopefully it can reopen under its new Snakes and Lattes management. So I now have a double interesting thing on CMON and getting into some new things that they're doing. So first of all, CMON to publish graphic novels based on, of all things, Fantasy Flight Games IPs. Twilight Imperium and the Android universe is going to be licensed by CMON for graphic novels. CMON and Asmodee Entertainment have announced that Twilight Imperium and Android Universe have been licensed for adaptation into graphic novels by CMON's comic arm, Guillotine Press. Both CMON and Asmodee continue to push their boundaries into new facets of geek culture. That was not written well. I made a change right there on the spot. And this deal may only be the proverbial tip of the iceberg. This will represent CMON's first venture into the GN publishing space. Not sure what GN stands for there. As well as new licensing door opening for Asmodee. Quick quote here, bringing some of our most iconic intellectual properties to the medium of visual storytelling through the pages of these first graphic novels is a natural step for us to be taking, said Alexander Thiem, licensing manager for publishing and consumer goods at Asmodee Entertainment. So first of all on this, and then we'll go into the next one, I was kind of a little surprised at this because Asmodee has a physical publishing arm as well, and why wouldn't they be putting out their IPs into that space? So that was interesting, but at the same time, it's interesting to see and very good to see a company like CMON expanding their business model and doing this. I certainly Twilight Imperium. I don't know the Android universe very well, but I know it's very thematic. But certainly Twilight Imperium has a lot of theme in it and a lot of different storyline possibilities in that type of universe. So I think that there will be an audience for these graphic novels.
Yeah, for me, when we discuss the news, there are some type of the news that we say it was obvious, we saw it coming, this is like a natural way, and sometimes when we say openly that we are surprised. This is, I'm surprised. On one hand, of course, we covered the news that Simon is doing comic books for Rising Sun. I don't know if you remember. So they already have some experience with comic books. But as you mentioned, like Asmodee has Aconite books that do books and novels. Like Asmodee is building their own brand and selling IPs to basically competitors, very smaller competitor, but still a competitor compared to Asmodee. Very surprising news for me. So well, we'll see how it will develop. I don't understand this news. I don't understand why Simon is doing business with Simon when they have their own publishing house.
Right. Interesting. And another one, again, so and both of these are related. This is Simon announcing The Last of Us, the board game, under license from Sony Interactive. So both of these are related in that they're both Simon announcements and they're both outside of the core business that a board game publisher does. And this one, of course, very interesting that Simon is doing something with Sony Interactive, a multi-billion-dollar company. So I didn't know this IP, by the way, but let me read a little bit. Simon has reached a licensing deal with Sony Interactive Entertainment to produce The Last of Us, the board game based on the video game series. The Last of Us is a post-apocalyptic horror survival game developed by Naughty Dog and released in 2013, followed by The Last of Us Part 2 earlier this year. In the game, the player must survive in a collapsed United States filled with hostile humans and creatures infected by mutant fungus. So this is a deal that a small but one of the larger in our industry companies, Simon, is now going out to a huge company, Sony Interactive, to get one of their IPs and create a board game around it. It doesn't sound like the game even exists, but they're just stating that they've gotten the license and they're now going to develop the game. That's what it sounds like to me based on this article, because it says details about the game, including release date and retail pricing, have not been released. They have in the past done other things with Sony, including Bloodborne and God of War. So this is an expansion of that relationship they have, and an expansion in generally of the business model into other areas. Kudos to them for doing that. It sounds like a very interesting idea.
Yep, and this one is news on the other side. That this is what I was expecting. This is what not surprising for me whatsoever. I'm, as you guys know, I'm a Polish publisher for Simon. We do Polish edition of Bloodborne. We are doing Polish edition of God of War. So we know that these games based on the IPs from video games are very popular. They have this chance to attract mass market audience. Like we sell them in the little bit different chains than a normal geek games. And for me, for the Polish publisher for Simon, the news about The Last of Us, amazing game, video game, major hit, is a great news to expand the market, to find a new audience, to find new customers. So this is the strategy I absolutely support and love.
Do you know this new IP that they're using, The Last of Us? Do you know that one?
Yes, this is one of the most famous games on PlayStation. It is probably the second part. The Last of Us 2 is probably one of the game of the year this year. So yes, it is a extremely strong IP.
Very, very cool. See, I not being an electronic gamer, I do not know it at all. But
I have a bunch of keys here at home, so I have to be briefed.
You have to be briefed on these things.
Yes, what I need to buy them.
Absolutely. And we're going to continue in the same mode. Renegade Game Studios is announcing that it's expanding its partnership with Hasbro with G.I. Joe, Transformers, and My Little Pony. This news, by the way, came out today. My crack staff here at the Podfather of Gaming, that's my girlfriend Paula over there. She goes, "Oh, look at the news," and she shows me her phone. I say, "Send that to me. I'm going to get it right into the podcast." And Renegade Game Studios is thrilled to announce multiple new categories and properties for hobby gaming as an extension of their existing partnership with Hasbro Incorporated. With this expanded partnership, the G.I. Joe, Transformers, and My Little Pony brands joins Renegade's already successful Power Rangers line to their family of games. You can look forward to new role-playing and deck-building games, which will begin hitting shelves in 2021. Renegade Game Studios and Hasbro first partnered for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid miniatures board game in 2018 and have released 11 expansions for the game since its debut. First up will be the 5th edition compatible Power Rangers role-playing game and the upcoming Power Rangers deck building game, which will be available to demo virtually at Renegade Con from October 9th to 11th, coming up. And Renegade's Morphin Meet virtual event beginning October 23rd and on the shelves in the second quarter 2021. So this is interesting stuff. Again, another one of the larger companies in our industry going out, getting very known properties and bringing them into hobby gaming. Again, only helping the masses, the mass market, but the masses actually find out more about the stuff that we do when they can introduce IPs like this. This can only help all of us. Kudos to Renegade for getting these IPs and bringing them to hobby gaming.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree that if somebody is typing in on Amazon.com Power Rangers or whatever else, Amazon will recommend this board game, and somebody will buy this board game and will discover that board games are interesting and much more interesting than Hasbro Monopoly. So yes, I always am very happy seeing these designer companies, these companies that bring a great value in game design, to have these stronger IPs to attract new customers, to make our market bigger. So thank you. Basically, we need to thank them.
Yes, we need to thank Renegade for that. All right, but that's enough news for this week. I believe we have to go to the strategy and tactics. So our first question is from a fan of the show, Joel Wolski. He's always putting up questions. Thank you, Joel. He's at JW Ski on Board Game Geek. And this question is for Ignacy. In Poland, how has the ban on Sunday trading affected the friendly local game stores? Ignacy, even if he asked me this question, I have no idea what he's talking about. What ban is there on Sunday trading? I can't trade a card with you or something on Sundays?
So first of all, it's Joel Wolski.
Oh, sorry, Joel. Okay, your Polish is better than my Polish.
And
we'll debate the English. Go ahead.
On a serious note, yes, I think that was 2 years ago, our government said that there is no way that stores can operate on Sunday, and there is like a law that forbids, and only the oil station or tank station, how you call them, the fuel station,
gas station,
gas station, they can be open, and the rest, everything has to be closed. And of course, everybody was complaining and being worried about a lower trade, yes, a lower income for retailers. There's a whole day off from the calendar to operate. This many months later, the data doesn't show that it was that terrible. I have my political opinions. I will not share them here about these moves. This change affected a ton of retailers that were in the malls, because in the mall you go to the cinema, you go to the restaurant to do some shopping. In Poland, in some of the malls, especially in the bigger cities, there are game stores, which is quite unusual for the rest of the world, that you can go to the mall, to go to the cinema, to go to the restaurant, and also find a game store there. So these game stores, of course, lost a ton of customers,
Sure.
lost chance to promote these easy Sunday games to some random people just walking to the mall. But I didn't see, and I have no data that some of the retailers went out of the business because of this change. But common logic says it very, very clearly. If you were able to operate 7 days a week and now you can operate only 6 days a week, you will have a less revenue. This is math. This is obvious.
Yeah. And so it's still in effect, you're saying, these laws,
Yes,
right?
it is still in effect because the big data, according to the government, says that nothing changed and it is still awesome. So, well.
In the United States, in certain states and in certain areas of certain states, because it can get down to the municipality level,
Okay.
cities, townships can even make their own laws as well. There are certain places that, and we call them here blue laws, or that's an abbreviation of blue sky laws. And yeah, it was the same type of thing that in certain jurisdictions, and it was much more common at one time, it's much less common now, that Sundays certain businesses couldn't be open. In New Jersey, for instance, liquor stores can't open before noon because, they want people to go to church, I guess, and, not drink before. I don't know. These things are archaic, and this is not even a political statement. They're just archaic laws. And if you want to open your store, you open your store. You're paying for the rent, you got to open the store. So not a political statement. It's simply like these are old laws that really don't have a place in modern society. In my opinion, that's an opinion statement, not a political statement.
It's quite fun. It's quite fun if you visit a mall in Poland on Sunday, and everything is closed except the cinema because you are going to the cinema that is in the mall. So you are walking through those like empty buildings just to reach the cinema. Well, let's move on.
It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Okay, so Nick Dotzenrod, who's at Baseman211, he says, "Hello, Ignacy. First, thank you for playing and teaching detective to my dad and I during Grand Con. Also, thanks for the autograph." He didn't ask me for my autograph. As for my question, I was wondering if the Undead expansion will include solitaire and co-op rules. I guess that means for Stronghold, right? Not for Detective. No Undead expansion in Detective. In general, the tower defense, castle defense theme seems prime for solitaire co-op play. On a personal note, I have Stronghold Second Edition, but never have really played it since it is hard for me to find board games. So having a solitaire rule set would be awesome. That said, since this will be a Kickstarter and common practice I have seen is including a solitaire rule set as a stretch goal, will you consider that? Do you have one? Do you have solitaire? No. Okay. So sorry.
I precisely remember when I was designing Stronghold back then in 2008 and 2009, and there was an announcement from American publisher about the Castle Panic, the game. And I was a bit scared. Oh my God, they have a similar game. I'm in trouble. And then I read more about the Castle Panic, and it is a cooperative game, and you can play it solo because AI-driven enemies are attacking your castle. While my game that we co-publish with Indie Board and Cards and Stronghold Games is like an open box with a ton of tools, ton of actions, ton of options for invader, and the whole chest of options for the defender. And you just take these tools and you can build catapult, you can build siege towers, you can make all these things. There's so many choices. And therefore the beauty of the game is that we are giving all these tools to the players and tell them, hey, these are all your options. Do whatever you want. You can surprise enemy. You can make so many different plans to attack or defend the castle. So therefore, because it's a so complex game, because it has so many options, I never was able to design AI that would, pretend that it has a smart plan. So no, I never came up with this idea. I'm not trying to come up with the idea. It's a complex two-player game, and I think it has to be like that.
Yeah, and Stronghold, the game is second edition, even first edition, is so much going on that it just doesn't make sense to try to do that. I completely agree with that logic, and there are so many other games like Castle Panic, which is a nice, light, easy game, and for that, and it's co-op. So that is if you need a castle defense type of fix on a lower, much lower scale. That's like on a scale of 1 to 10, that's complexity 2, and Stronghold Second Edition is complexity 9, or something like that. They're very different style games.
Quite similar case with the War of the Ring, the game that you love a lot. I guess there's no solo variant like this. No. There's no way like that. These games are very complex, and they demand two smart people against each other.
Exactly. Spencer Harstead, who's at Sevenser on Board Game Geek, if your goal was to sign a game that could get distributed in Target or other big box stores, what qualities would you look for in that game? And what soft skills would you say are most valuable for working in the board game industry, particularly publishing? So that's two separate questions. I guess, Ignacy, I'll go first. You've been doing all the talking here. For a game that you want to get distributed in Target, signing it or designing it, whatever the case may be, it has to be, you know what the single biggest thing you have to do is you got to make the game cheap. It can't be a $70 game. There are no games there that are $70. It will not sell to the people that go to Target or Walmart in that idea. So it has to be inexpensive. So you take a good example of like Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. That came in at $50, and that is a lot of game in that game. And it's $50. And that is the absolute high end that really Target will take a game, and they don't want it. They really want the game to come in at 20, 30. They've been inching toward 40, but it's just really hard for them to get those games in there. So price is going to be the number one thing. You got to get it at a low price. Besides that, you want games that are more simple. You don't want Stronghold Second Edition type games. And Gloomhaven, even again, it kind of breaks the rules because Gloomhaven was such a huge game, number one game on Board Game Geek. So it's breaking a lot of rules for what can fit into Target. But overall, you're going to want a game that can appeal to a family gamer and can be brought in at a really lower price point than most hobby games.
Yep. And if I can give an example, not from the Target, but from Barnes & Noble's, we just discussed the Detective Season 1. This is exactly the case that we had a meeting with Barnes & Noble's buyers, and they say, we see the data for the sales for Detective. They are very good, considering the price point for the game, considering the complexity of the game. If you can pull off a little bit cheaper version, if you can pull out a little bit easier version, we can imagine the data, we are interested. And here we are a year later with Detective Season 1 for $30, not 50, with 3 cases, but not campaign, because it is not that involving, with the smaller rule book. And here we are, I'm bragging about the restock and the reprinting, etc., etc. Price point is extremely important because for you guys, you are geeks, you are crazy, you can pay $100 for the game, and you're fine with that. For the average person who enters Target, who enters Walmart, who enters Barnes & Noble's, $20, $30 is a maximum that they can risk in something that they don't know, because they don't know it will be fun. They are not gamers yet. They are risking their money.
Yep.
They are making this step, and nobody will take a step worth $50 or $60.
Exactly. Joe Ackham, who's at Walking Chaos on Board Game Geek, says hello. This is good. First of all, thank you for all the interesting podcast episodes. It's a nice addition to other podcasts where the main content is rather board game review related. My question, I have several games in my collection with awesome artwork and quality and component quality, but with a poorly written rule book. I don't know anything about that. What's your process during the development phase to generate a well-written rule book?
No
all the
comment.
best, Joaquim. So I like his name on top is Joe Ackham, but he's Joaquim. Very cool. So, I mean, the rule book, Ignacy, as we both know, not only is the hardest part to get right, it's also the most annoying part. It's in every way, it's so difficult to get the perfectly written rule book because there are rule books that, oh wow, I understand it all, but they say it in twice the length that they should say it in. And then, of course, there are rule books that leave out rules, which is like terrible and unexcusable, and you really need to cover everything in a rule book. So what's the process during development? Ignacy, go ahead. You go, and I'll add some stuff.
No, like a reminder for everybody. I'm the Ignacy Trzewiczek First Martians rulebook. Like I'm the icon of the bad rule books.
Oh, that's not nice.
On a serious note, once again, in Germany, we mentioned this a couple of months or years ago. in Germany, there is a dedicated convention for editors, for German editors, who meet together for a couple of days, discussing the ways how the rulebook should be written, what they discovered, what they have the data from the new games. They are reading their rulebooks all together, commenting. Like, this is brainstorming convention for professionals, editors for Germany. And once again, we always in this podcast say how well German market is developed in terms of the business, in terms of the quality, in terms of the experience, and how the society knows the games well. So rule books, we all need to improve. We all need to learn. And well, my process is that I finally hired the person, Jana Kijanka, who can write rule books, who has this skill. So now I'm just checking after her, and in most cases accepting what she wrote. This is a very difficult process. And one more thing: when you buy TV, when you buy your phone, when you buy your, I don't know, wash machine, whatever, there is always rule book in these devices, and you never read them. You just turn on TV and you will figure it out.
Yep.
You cannot do this with books, with rule books, with our games, right? So we never play tested the rule books for TV. We never play tested rule books for wash machine.
That's right.
But we do for board games.
That's right. Exactly right. And you know, and the description that you're trying to give about the process is that, you know, we write them, we iterate on them, we go again on them, we have other people write the review them and look at them. You know, at Stronghold we had an in-house editor, so he would make the English all perfect using a style book, but that doesn't even go far enough. You need somebody who's an absolute rules person to read this rule book and go through it to make sure that we're covering everything, so that the editor can then say, oh, okay, let me just change these words to make it more clear. But the rules themselves are obviously of ultimate importance to get right. You have to iterate, and it is an annoying process to finally get. All right, Ignacy, let us go. You're pushing me forward to get to our playtesting segment. All right, Ignacy. In this playtesting segment, it's my turn right now to give you a question. I always have problems coming up with them, but this is one that I used on my happy hour, actually. I wanted to ask the people there, and I'm going to ask you. So when COVID is over, or you feel comfortable enough to travel, where's the first place that you will go? Or in general, if you hate to travel like Ignacy, so I'm asking you, but I'm asking the people out there too, what is your dream destination to see, your bucket list location to go visit?
I will go with a quite personal answer, because it's true. So let's go for it. This year, my son had his 18th birthday. Very important birthday
important.
for everybody. Of course, COVID, so there was no parties, no hanging out. And the gift that was planned for him was that trip to Nottingham, to the headquarters of Games Workshop, because he's a huge geek for the Warhammer and Games Workshop. And of course, because of all the shutdowns, all the lockdowns, the gift was never delivered. I never was able to take him to Nottingham to see the headquarters for Games Workshop. So this is as soon as everything opens, I own my son a birthday gift, and I hope it will be very, very fun weekend with my son.
That's very
buying
nice.
this stuff, buying these T-shirts, having some memories, and being in this headquarters. So Nottingham, I'm coming as soon as this is possible.
That's very, very nice. So for me,
you just came back from Mexico. Like, what was happening?
For me, what I'm really looking forward to doing is, and this is a cute answer, pat answer. Like, yeah, I'm going to Disney World. I've been just because Paula and I have annual passes because we live in Florida, so it's easy to go up there a lot. And obviously, not only was it shut down for a while, but I really want, to get back there. I really enjoy the experience, especially like at Epcot when, visiting all the different lands there, and the food experience and the wines experience and beer. It's so much fun being up there and acting like a kid on some level and going on rides and stuff like that. We really enjoy going there. So going to Disney World is the first thing. But what I think also that I'm really looking forward to doing is going back on cruises. I mean, and obviously you got to be very careful with that, because that's a serious vector for transmission of everything, of colds and flus and COVID. So the Dice Tower cruise coming up in February. I just hope it goes off. I want to see all of my cruising friends that go to that. And then the BGG at Sea cruise, which I was supposed to be on going to Japan this year. It's so sad. That's going to be the Western Mediterranean next year. So I have a feeling that, assuming that goes off, I'll see a lot of the European fans there. And that is so exciting to me because obviously I get to see those fans a lot less, if ever. So I'll be loving to see people on the BGG at Sea in the Western Mediterranean, which is going from Spain, a couple of ports there, to Italy, a couple of ports, and then back. So that's where I want to go. I'm dying to go. So what do you guys out there feel as you want to do once COVID is over? The first thing you want to go, the first place you want to go, or if you're not a big traveler, what's your dream destination? So Ignacy right now is creating a thread on Board Game Geek in our guild. So go over to our guild there, find the playtesting thread with this question, and post your answer and let us know. Ignacy, now I'm going to the final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. To help us to ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you for our playtesting segment, please go to our guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with that question to you from this episode. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so please like us there. And also Ignacy's page and Stephen's page on Facebook, which is /Portal Publishing and /Podfather Gaming. Our websites, portalgames.pl, portalgamesus.com, and podfathergaming.com. Go there, sign up for the newsletters, keep up to the minute with information on Portal Games and the Podfather of Gaming. On social media, you can speak directly to Ignacy and Stephen on Twitter @ChevyCheck and @Podfather Gaming, and the same on Instagram. And the YouTube channels are, Ignacy just changed it in front of me, Portal Games Movies. Is that the name of your YouTube channel, Portal Games Movies?
I think so.
I always type in Portal Games and it comes up anyway. I guess there's a name plus there's a different name on top. So Portal Games Movies, or Portal Games will probably get you there too, and the Podfather of Gaming. Go there and subscribe on YouTube. We hope to see you soon once this COVID crisis is over, because we do like to see people in person too. Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast, and if you'd like him to edit your podcast, please contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Ignacy, this is the time when we talk about something newsworthy, something special. I got it this time. I got the one. You're probably reading what I wrote there right now, because I wrote something.
No, I'm waiting.
Oh, you're waiting. Okay, well, this is a statement to our listeners and to our fans and our viewers if you're watching on YouTube. And it is a rant. Oh, it is a rant. It's a Bonacor rant. So here's what happened. Just yesterday, I was informed that something I said recently was very negative, and that my position on the topic was uninformed. And it could be impactful to the entity about which I was speaking. So let me say something for the record here. Nothing I state is ever very negative. I give facts, and I give my educated view on a topic. Nothing that I state is uninformed. I review those facts. I even go to independent, unaffiliated sources to assist in analyzing the data and the information presented. And I want to promise every listener out there and every viewer who's seeing my passionate face right now as I say this, is that I'm always truthful, and I will always give you my business wisdom from my top tier university master's degree education and my 35 years on Wall Street to make educated commentary on whatever topic we talk about. And furthermore, I'm not going to hold back on commenting on something that is public knowledge because someone or some entity might think it's very negative and it could impact that entity. To say that I was furious yesterday when I heard this is an understatement. And I used some language when I heard this that I will never say on the Dice Tower Network. Oh, but I said it out loud yesterday. Poor Paula heard me say it from the other room when I was talking about it. So I'm not obviously saying what this was about, but I want everybody out there to know that when I talk on this podcast or in any venue, I'm talking honestly. I'm not throwing out wild suppositions. I have facts and I have knowledge and education, industry knowledge and background education in business as well. And I'm going to always put those two things together to give you the most insightful things that I can give you. It's never purposely going to hurt somebody, but yet if it does in some way, it's public knowledge that needs commentary on, and you can trust me to give you an educated view on that topic. There's my commentary for today. Ignacy, what do you think about that, huh?
I'm scared. Do we need insurance for our podcast just in case if we say 2 words too much?
Oh, I don't think we need insurance because
Okay.
people know, and the people know who might have not liked what I said, they know I was right.
And
all right.
I have one very important update.
Okay.
I just got email from Facebook, and it says a lot has happened on Facebook since you last logged in. Here are some notifications you've missed from your friends, and there is a list of things that I'm missing. So I'm dealing with this monster again. That's a little bit of the cyberpunk when you are dealing with the AI that is still sending me notifications, not knowing that they shut me down. Like,
absolutely
so
crazy.
I'm cursing in silence at Facebook. That was our round.
After we shut down the video and the audio, you can curse for real. Can't do it on the Dice Tower Network. All right, everybody. Thank you again. We'll see you in a week with more insightful news and opinions of things that are happening to everybody out there. Take care.
And more runs if you get insurance. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Episode 165.
I gotta stop hold on. I gotta stop the recording. Here it is.